Let's move. Now it's my turn to share the session. Let's move to our next speaker. Okay, and our next speaker is Giuseppina Sandri from University of Pavia, and will present the work based on GAGs, or glycosaminoglycans based scaffolds for wound healing.
For your kind presentation, and I wish to thank the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to present this nanotechnology-based platform intended for skin wound healing. Briefly, skin healing is a complex process based on different phases that could be subsequent or overlapped, and just after the lesion is formed, the healing process starts with the inflammation phase followed by angiogenesis, then proliferation phase, remodeling to restore skin integrity. Acute wounds normally spontaneously heal within few weeks, but if the healing process is impaired, chronic wounds occur with an healing time greater than 12 weeks. Currently, there are many products on the market intended for skin healing, starting from traditional and advanced dressing up to cellular and acellular scaffolds and skin grafts. However, no one of these products has been generally recognized as a gold standard, and many drawbacks can occur during the treatment, as a slow healing that could lead to possible infection, immunogenicity due to the materials, and the formation of keloid scars at the end of the healing process. So given these premises, the aim of the present work was the design and the development of scaffold based on chitosan and glycosaminoglycans as medical device intended for skin wound healing as dermal substitute. So to be applied as tissue engineering materials to treat burns, and particularly large burns, chronic ulcers such as venous leg ulcers, diabetic foot, but also bad sores, and surgical bleeding, especially in the elderly population. Among the different materials available, natural polysaccharides were selected, and the polymers selected were characterized for proliferation capability, so the capability to enhance cell growth, and in particular, chitosan was selected as antimicrobial polymer. And among glycosaminoglycans, hyaluronate was selected for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and also chondroitin sulfate was selected in particular for its ability to interact with growth factors. So the scaffolds were prepared by means electrospinning, that is an emerging technique extremely pushed by FDA in continuous manufacturing. The process is a simple and robust process, and polymer blend is pumped through a needle forming a liquid jet, and the liquid jet during their flight dry to form fibers that are collected on a plain collector. The formulation prepared are actually three. The first one was based on chitosan and pullulan and was used as a reference as comparator. And the other two were based on chitosan plus pullulan and glycosaminoglycan, chondroitin sulfate, or hyaluronate. So the three formulations were named CH, CHCS, and CHHA. All the polymeric blends were prepared with a mixture of water and acetic acid, and citric acid was added as a cross-linking agent. So after the electrospinning of the blends, the scaffold were formed, and the cross-linking was done by means heating treatment for 1 hour at 100 degrees centigrade, 150 degrees centigrade, for the citric acid activation. So the scaffold were characterized for morphology, with the SEM analysis in just after the cross-linking, just after the preparation, after the cross-linking, and after the hydration. In this slide, CH scaffold are reported, and so the fiber were uniform distributed with a smooth surface, and the cross-linking didn't modify the morphology and also the hydration. And the fibers were around 400 nanometer in diameter. The similar morphology was found for CHCS scaffold and also for CHHH scaffold, even if the addition of chondroitin sulfate and hyaluronic acid that have a negatively charged caused an enlargement, an increase of the fiber dimension up to 600 nanometers, and this could be due to the interaction between the negatively charged glycosaminoglycans with the positively charged chitosan. So to understand if the cross-linking process, so the heating treatment, could lead to the formation of covalent bonds, FTIR analysis was performed. And for CH scaffold, the formation of covalent bonds, of amide bonds between chitosan and the carboxylic moieties of citric acid was found, while for CHCS and the CHHA scaffolds, no amide bond formation was detected. To understand the thermal behavior of the system, thermal analysis, so DSC analysis was performed, and two types of investigation were done. The first one, simulating the cross-linking treatment, so starting from uncross-linked membrane to simulate heating like in the cross-linking treatment, and the other characterization was done to understand the behavior of the system. So uncross-linked and cross-linked system were subjected to heating in normal condition. So the message is that the water had an important role in the process, and the membrane were characterized by holding capacity preserved upon cross-linking, and it seems that the heating treatment led to felting of the polysaccharidic chain, causing the water resistance of the membrane, so the resistance to the solubilization during the hydration. Moreover, to better understand the structure of the scaffold, small angle X-ray scattering analysis was performed in dry state, in hydrated state, and after 4 months of aging in the hydrated states. And for all the scaffolds in the dried state, the fibers were longer cylinder with a smooth surface, and the hydration caused a protrusion of the polymer change and the stretching out from the fibers, so the structure of the three membranes was, of the three scaffolds was slightly modified. After 4 months of aging, scaffold maintain is characteristic with a moderate swelling of the fibers, while for CHHA and CHCS scaffold the alteration were greater, and in particular for CHHH scaffold there was a protrusion of probably of the hyaluronic acid chain with a coiled conformation, while CHCS scaffold presented a losing of the probably chondroitin sulfate chain from the fibers, so having the more pronounced roughtening of the surface. The zeta potential, the surface zeta potential was then considered, and all the membranes were characterized by a negative zeta potential in physiological condition. And moreover, this analysis highlighted that the swelling for CH and CHCS scaffold was due mainly to a mesh enlargement of the fibers, while for CHHH scaffold there was a swelling of the single fiber, so different behavior depending on composition. The mechanical properties were then characterized, and the scaffold were stiff in dry state, while the hydration caused a high deformability of the structure, so suitable for dermal application. Finally, the preclinical evaluation was performed with two characterization: an in vitro characterization considering fibroblast and endothelial cells, and an in vivo characterization in murine burn excisional model. So first, the result for in vitro. The scaffolds, all the three scaffolds, were characterized by the good capability to support both fibroblast and endothelial cell growth for 6 days, up to 6 days. In this slide, you can see the fibroblast attached to the scaffold, and two analyses were performed, SEM and confocal, to understand both the adhesion of the cell and the structure of the cell. So the fibroblasts resemble their native structure with aligned cytoskeletons. And the same was done for endothelial cell, showing the capability also of this cell to attach to the scaffolds. As for in vivo, I will skip the closure of the lesion and go on with the histology. The membrane based on CH and CS, so the chondroitin sulfate-based scaffold, was characterized by the best performance, and this scaffold allowed the full repalation of the skin within 18 days with a minimal inflammation. The performance in presence of chondroitin sulfate was the best. As key results, the scaffolds were completely insoluble in aqueous medium, and the mechanism seems due to the formation of amine bonds for CH scaffold and for a felting process for glycosaminoglycans. The in vitro experiment evidence that fibroblast and endothelial cell were able to adhere and to proliferate onto the scaffolds, and the in vivo data evidence the capability of the scaffold to enhance skin reparation. And the presence of chondroitin sulfate seems to give a particular peculiar property to the scaffold, enhancing the skin reparation. The mechanical property, the hairy fibers surface and the scaffold swelling seem crucial property for cell adhesion and their spreading over the scaffold. As key feature, the scaffold could be stored at room temperature in dry state, could be sterilized by heating, are entirely based on polysaccharidic materials. The preparation process is a robust process, so one-step process, highly reproducible, and the scaffold could be possibly implemented by the loading of active ingredients by simple mixing in the starting polymeric plants. And finally, I would like to thank all the colleagues who participated to this research, and my research group in Pavia, the Department of Drug Science, and all of you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Very nice talk. So the floor is now open for questions. Is anyone? So I have one question. Regarding the biodegradability of your scaffolds, have you tested? Can you provide any idea about the requirements?
We go on with maybe the last images. Okay, this is the degradation study that we did with the lysozyme. So the scaffold actually are not degradable in aqueous environments, also in the cell medium or in presence of serum. And to understand if the membrane could be degraded or not, we should do we did the experiment with lysozyme, that is an enzyme secreted during the inflammatory phase, and chitosan is the substrate for this enzyme. And in the first images, you could see that after 10 days in contact with the lysozyme, the scaffolds did not present anymore the nanofibrous scaffold. And the other two scaffold, there is also the polysaccharidic anionic moieties with a positive one, have a very small presence of fiber for CHCS and something more for hyaluronic acid-based scaffolds. So these are the proof that they should be degraded by an enzymatic pattern.
But how about quantitative data in respect to weight loss, for example, in a different pH in inflammatory environment like pH 5 as you have in the wound? Have you tested that? Or?
No, actually, we do not characterize the loss of weight in that condition, and we did only the quantitative measurement of the amount of glucosamine units released during the degradation, and actually the membrane presented almost similar pattern of glucosamine release during the degradation study.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? If not, let's thank our speaker because she needs to go to the airport. So let's move